Welcome. Today we're going to talk about Parshas Vayetze, but before we start, I would just like to say something about last week's Parsha. I suggested that the story of Yitzchak going down to Gerar really took place before the birth of Yaakov and Esav, and the reason why the Torah does it, Ein Mukdam Mocher, the Torah is not necessarily sequential, is because once at the end of Parshas Chayesara, the Torah is telling all the descendants of Avram from Keturah, from Yishmael, and all these little goyim that he has, and what's with the Yidden, so it would be appropriate right away. Ela tells Yishmael ben Avram, Ela tells Yitzchak ben Avram. I'm not going to get more into that. So my good friend Rabeli Cohn sent me an email to tell me that according to this, that it's out of sequence. It answers the question of Mefarshim. The Mefarshim ask, it says that Avimelech looked into the window and he saw Yitzchak was Mesachik im Rivka. It means they were having relations. So it was a famine, and it's forbidden to have relations during a famine. So the Mefarshim asked this, and they come up with different answers. But he said, according to this, it's good because Chasuchei Banim, people have no children, are allowed to have relations during a famine. So since this took place before they had children, they were allowed to. I just wanted to mention this. I was very pleased with that. Okay. So now Parshas Vayetze. So Yaakov marries Rachel and Leah. Rachel gives Leah the Simonim. He really wanted to marry Rachel. Rachel gave Leah the Simonim, and so when he ended up marrying Leah, and then afterwards he married Rachel. Leah was having children, and Rachel was not having children. So the pasuk says like this: Vateri Rachel ki lo yolda liYaakov, vatakani Rachel ba'achoisa. She was jealous that her sister was having children, she didn't. Vatomer Yaakov, Havali bonim v'ayin meisa noichi. I need children, if not, I'm like dead. Rashi says because somebody without children is considered like he's dead. Yimisha and Labonim is chashav kameis. So I mean, you can do other things, but to give yourself life. But just not having children is kameis. So she says, Havali Banu, give me children. Vayicharav Yaakov Barachel. Yaakov got angry. And he said, Vayomer, Hatachas Olakim Anoichi, Asher Mona Mimeich Pribeten. Am I in the place of the Rebbeinu Shloim, in the place of Hashem, took away from you children? So, what is going on in this exchange? What is Rachel saying, and what is Yaakov saying? So let's see what Rashi says. Rashi says, Rachel saying like this. Your father, she's saying, Kachas avicha limecha. When Yitzchak and Rivka didn't have children. So what did Yitzchak do? He davened, and he davened for himself, and he davened for Rivka. He davened for both of them. He davened for her. So why don't you daven for me? Your father davened for your mother, why don't you daven for me? So Yaakov says, am I like my father? My father had no children. I have children. What's going on? What is this conversation? What are they talking about? Apparently, the Medrash says, the Medrash says that this was a tainan Yaakov. Why you kachoines amikois? This is apparently he didn't daven for Rachel. He only davened for himself. He says, "Why should I daven for you? I have children." And the Medrash only takes him to task kachoines amikois because he spoke to her sharply. He spoke to her sharply. You don't speak sharply to people that are suffering. You don't speak sharply to them. So the problem is only the tone. How did he speak to her? But what he said, the Medrash doesn't have any issue with that. So what did he say? That he didn't daven for her because he doesn't have to daven for her. Because he has children. Why didn't he daven for her? I mean, why is she worse than anybody else? She has, and he has children and she doesn't have children. So she also needs the Yeshua. Why didn't he daven for her? It's a plea. And what does that have to do with Hashem? What does Hashem have to do with this? Am I like Hashem? To daven for somebody, you have to be like Hashem. Daven for her. She doesn't have children, Nebuch, so daven for her. Am I like Hashem? What kind of question is that? So later, it says, V'achar yolda bas. Leah had 2 children from Zilpah and 6 of her own, and afterwards she had a daughter. Vatikra shmo Dina. The name of the daughter was Dina. So what does Dina mean? Rashi says she made it. Donna didn't last much. She made a cheshbon. She says the Imois knew that they're going to be 12 shvatim. So she said, "I have 6, and Zilpah has 2, and Bilhah has 2, so that's a total of 10. If I have, and she was pregnant. She was expecting another child, and if I have another son, then that would take care of 11, and then all that would be left for Rachel would be 1, and she would have fewer children than the Shvachos. It's her sister. So what did she do? So she davened, and this child was in the early stages of pregnancy. So this child, instead of becoming, it was supposed to be a son. But she davened, and it turned into a girl, and this was Dina. So first of all, you see that if Leah had not davened, it would have been another son. And then she would have had 7, and there would be 11, and the most that would be left for Sarah was 1. For Rachel would be 1. Why did Rachel deserve such a harsh midas adin that the most she could hope for? It should not even be like one of the shachas. At least have 1 and they have 2. Why? Why did she deserve that? Then after that, the pasuk says, "V'yisker lakim es Rachel, v'yishmei Leah, v'yiftach es Rachma." Hashem remembered Rachel, and he listened to her tefillas, and he allowed her to become pregnant. What did he remember? V'yisker lakim as Rachel. What did he remember? So Rashi says, he remembered that she gave the simonim to Leah, which was a very big tzidkus. She gave away the simonim to Leah. She wanted to marry Yaakov, and she gave away the simonim to Leah, and Leah married her. She didn't want her sister to be embarrassed. Wonderful thing. And also that she was upset that she's going to end up being married to Esav. That was like upsetting to her. So this is what Hashem remembered. At this point, these things happened at the time that they get married, in the beginning. Yaakov wanted to marry Leah, so Lavan said, he wanted to marry Rachel. Lavan gave him Leah, so Rachel gave him her simonim. That was, I don't know how many years, maybe 7 years before this. You know, Yosef was 6 years old when Esav came, and from the time that he married Leah was 14 years. So let's say take off 1 year for the heroine, for the pregnancy. So let's say this was about 7 years. So 7 years later, for 7 years, Rachel was Akara. Rachel could not give birth. 7 years until the Rebbeinu Shalom remembered the Simonim. What took 7 years to remember the Simonim? Right away, she gave the Simonim a big schus. So as soon as he married Rachel, she should have had a child in the schus of the Simonim. Why did it take 7 years? What was the reason for this? So, really, Yaakov wanted to marry Rachel. And if Lavan hadn't fooled him, and Rachel hadn't given Leah the Simonim, then he would have married Rachel. He would not have married Leah. He would have married Rachel. What would have been with the Shvatim? Rachel would have had all of them. Rachel would have had all 12 Shvatim. You know, you see many people today have at least 12 children. More, it's not out of the question. She would have had 12 children, and they all would have come from her. He never would have married Leah. So when Rachel gave the Simonim to Leah, not only did she give her husband, she also gave her the Shvatim. That's what she had. She had this husband and the schus of having 12 Shvatim. They all would have come from her. And she turned everything over to Leah. She gave her Simonim, she gave away her husband, and she gave away all 12 Shvatim. So now the Shvatim belong to Leah. So Yaakov says to her, why don't you daven for me? So Yaakov says to her, my father had children. These Shvatim belong to Leah. I cannot daven for you to take something away from one person to give it to you. You want to daven for a house, you should have a house? I could daven for your house. You want me to daven for you that house that belongs to that person, Hashem should take that house away from that person and give the house to you? I can't do that. I can't do such a thing. My father had no children, so he davened. But the children are coming. There's no problem. If there was a problem, the children weren't coming, then maybe I could, ask the Rebbeinu Shalom to maybe, I don't know. But if the children are coming, Keseda, how could I ask him for this? Atachas Elokim anoichi. What does it mean, Atachas Elokim? In the first pasuk in the Torah, it says it starts with Bereishis Bara Elokim. So Rashi says, why does the Torah start with Bereishis Bara Elokim? Because to show you that the world belongs to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and if the Goyim will come with a complaint to you that how come you're taking away the land from us? You're being kaivish the land of the Sheva Umais. So we're going to say, Bereishis Bara Elokim, the land is his. He wants to take from this one and give to that one. Takes from that one, gives to... It's up to him. He can do whatever he wants. He can take away from one person, from one ummah, and give it to another ummah. He's God. He can do what he wants. It's his. Everything is his. But Atachas Elokim money, am I in that position that I could ask him to take from her and give to you? I can't do that. I'm not... This Rebbeinu Shalom can do such a thing. I can't do such a thing. So what happened? So she gave her Bilhah. Now, Bilhah was not an Akora. So even though Leah had the rights to all 12 Shvatim, but Bilhah was not an Akora. So therefore she got pregnant. For her not to get pregnant, the Rebbeinu Shalom would have had to intervene and stop her from being pregnant to preserve, to change what's supposed to happen in the natural course of events. He would have to intervene and stop her from getting pregnant so that Leah could keep her 12 Shvatim. So the Rebbeinu Shalom decided, no, I'm not going to intervene. I'm not going to intervene. She has a child, so we'll reduce whatever she has in the natural course of events. The Rebbeinu Shalom has a right to reduce the number of Shvatim that Leah has it doesn't want to intervene. But you're asking me, what Yaakov asked Rachel, well, he should intervene to make you pregnant, that you should take away from Leah. That I can't ask him to do. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants to intervene or not intervene. That's his choice. That's his choice. So when she gave him Bilhah had 2 children. It was natural, so they were born. And Leah's complement of Shvatim was reduced. Okay, this is what the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted, but I cannot daven for you. So what happened afterwards? So Leah had the rights to the Shvatim. So that's why Rachel couldn't get them. They belonged to Leah. The Rebbeinu Shalom was not going to intervene to take it away from Leah and to change the natural course of events. So what happened? Then she had another pregnancy, and she still thought that if this is going to be a son, then Rachel, she had Rachmanis on Rachel, so she was mispalel that it should become a daughter. So at this point, Leah was mevater on her rights. She was moichel, says, I have 12 shvatim, but I'm moichel, I'm mevater on my schos, that Rachel should have at least 2 children. And the very next pasuk after this, Vatikra Shmo Dina, the next words, Vayizker L'kim es Rachel. At the point where Leah was mevater, so it took years, 7 years, but Leah had it was hers, he couldn't take it away from her. But as soon as Leah was mevater, right away, now even though you're Akara, I'm going to open up your Rechem and the schus that you gave away to Simonim. This is what, okay. Okay, now, so what is this? So what's the next pasuk? Vatar v'teiled bein. She had a son. V'tomer, she said, Osav elakim es cherpasi. Hashem removed my shame. That was, and then it says V'tikra Shema Yosef, Lo meyashel Hashem li ben acher. You should give me another son. But Osav Hashem es cherpasi has nothing to do with the name Yosef. Hashem took away my cherpa. What was her cherpa? That her sister had it would look like she's not deserving. Her sister had the children, she didn't. That's the Pashta Pshat. But then Rashi says another Pshat. Umedrash Agoda. Kol zman she'ein li isha ben, ein lo b'mi litlei serchayna. If a woman is, in the house, she's the mistress of the house, and she has no children, so if anything that she does, she has to take responsibility for it. When she has a son, then she says he did it. The husband comes back and says, who broke this vase? Who did it? Who broke it? She broke it by mistake, but who broke it? So she says, Bincha, your son did it. Who ate these tainim? Bincha, your son. So you can blame your children. So if you have no children, then you have to take the blame. Any misstep that you do, you have to take the blame. There's nobody else to blame. But if you have a child, your husband comes home and he says, who did this? And you say, it wasn't me, it was the child. This is what she's concerned about. That Yaakov Avinu, the Heilige Grace of Yaakov Avinu, the Bechir Shabbat is going to come home, and Rachel Imenu, who is Rachel Imenu, tell you what Rachel Imenu is, and there's a broken vase, and Yaakov will get upset with her, he'll say, who broke this vase? Now she could blame it on the baby? This is what she's busy with. I mean, what does this mean? So, in Parshas Kisavai is famous for the Techacha, but the first Parsha in Kisavai is about Bikurim. When a person, you take the first fruits and you bring them to Yerushalayim and give them to the Kohen, and you say the whole video over here. You say that I'm thankful to Rebbeinu Shalom for that he took us out of Mitzrayim and he brought us to Yisrael and he gave us his lands of his Chalav Dvash, and now I brought the Reishis Priyadama to show. I brought it to Rebbeinu Shalom. I brought it to the Beis Hamikdash, so to show you Akaras HaTov. So it says Basal HaKoyen V'amarta Elov. So Rashi says V'amarta Elov she'enach kafei tov. You're not an ingrate. Why do we say it? Why does Rashi say it in such a way that I'm not an ingrate? I'm coming here all the way from my house, and I brought the basket. I'm bringing it to you, and I'm telling the Rebbeinu Shalom, thank you so much for making us free and living in Israel and such a good land, and I have crops and I have parnasa. I have a karas hatayv. Say I've marty love. Say ani makar tayv. Why does it say she'ench coffee tayv? It's kind of a strange, I'm not a coffee tayv. So the answer, I think, is pretty pashut. That, there's so many things that we take for granted. We think that, we thank the Rebbeinu Shalom because he gave us this thing. But the fact that you're alive, the fact that you can breathe, the fact that you walk in the street and outside you can smell the flowers, the fact that you have the blue sky, and all these things are all things they're all chasadim. Everything's a chesed. There's so many chasadim that we have. You can never come to the end of saying all the chasadim. How could everything? You take everything for granted. Even like in the Brichas HaShachar, we thank the Rebbeinu Shalom we could move, right? So we have 5 brachas for this. Matir Asurim, we could sit up. Zokif Kfufim, we could stand up. Roikal Aretz Almayim means we could remain standing on the flat ground. Meichem Salgov, we could walk. Asli Kol Tzarchi, we have shoes that we walk in any terrain. Every prat, we can't just say that we have the ability to move. Every prat needs a thank you. Every prat needs a bracha. So if you're coming to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to the Beis HaMikdash, and you want to thank him, and you want to be makir toiv, there is no limit to how much you can be makir toiv. However, this is the minimum. If you don't say this, then you're a kafei toiv. Then you're an ingrate. But there's a big distance between kafei toiv and makir toiv. If you don't say, at least for the basic things, you don't thank him, then you're a kafei toiv. But to be makir toiv, that doesn't make you a makir toiv. Did you thank him for everything? Did you thank him for that he gave you a good wife, and that your children and they're learning and there's so many things you can thank him for, and he deserves thanks for everything. That's almost without limit. But this, no, you don't do this, you're a kafei toiv. When I come to bar mitzvahs, and if I'm asked to speak by bar mitzvah, then usually I like to talk about mention this, because I ask a question. The father bar mitzvah gets up in shul, and he says, Baruch Shtrani Ma'asher Salzeh. Now you're a gadol. Baruch Hashem, I'm potter from being punished for your affairs. Okay, but why do you have to embarrass the kid in the shul? You have to say it in front of a couple of people. So call a couple of people into a room and say, call a minyan if you need. But in the middle of the shul, with all the guests and everything going on, the whole bar mitzvah, you get up and say, Baruch Shepatrani Ma'asher. What are you doing? What's the pshat in this minhag? I'm saying the pshat is like this. You want to thank the Rebbeinu Shalom. You have to thank him. Your thanks have to be complete. It has to be full. What are you saying? That you have? What is this kid? This kid is most of the time he's a good boy, and there's so many things you could thank him for having a child and bringing him up and making a bar mitzvah. And he's gonna get married, give you grandchildren. There's so many things that you can thank him for, but to thank him completely, you have to thank him for everything until the last thing. Even the smallest thing. So he's saying, Baruch Tran Ma'asher Salzeh, which is like a triviality. It's nothing. What kind of Einshim? But even for whatever this is, I'm thanking you for everything, including this, which is about the bottom of the list. What can it be? What kind of an Einshim? What did the kid do? What? He talked in class. What did he do? So even for this, I have to thank you. That's what it is. I'm thanking you for the bottom. That all the way I mentioned the last thing. So that's what Rachel said. Also, Hashem is charpasi. I have a child that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable now. So many benefits that I get from this. I have a mother has a child. I'm like amazed. I'm going to be one of the Mayas. I'm going to be the future of Klal Yisrael. It's so many things that she got. So, but I want to thank you. But it says, I want to thank you. I say, the least thing, Asav Hashem's Cherpasi, that Yaakov is going to blame me for breaking a cup, and I can blame Yosef, which is nothing more inconsequential than this, nothing more trivial than this, and I'm thanking you even for this. This is what she says. Okay, thank you very much. I hope to see you all again next week.